Hello and welcome to Gender Forking, episode 7, entitled
Whomst. As in, whomst the fuck is not gender swapped in this book.
This is the Life and Death podcast, aka Stephenie Meyer's gender swapped Twilight Feminist Manifesto with Sam and Lori. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lori. Today's forecast is 49 degrees and cloudy with a 10% chance of rain. The sun might come out this evening, but only for like 2 hours. And it's right before sunset from 8 to 9 p.m.
Wow, what a great day for vampires to go to high school.
Honestly.
Today we'll be discussing chapters 17, 18, and 19 of Life and Death.
The game, the hunt.
Yes.
Goodbyes.
Vampire baseball.
Ooh.
Absolutely iconic.
Amazing.
Really exciting to reach this part in the book that is so iconic in Twilight, and really weird, like the actual like supernatural plot, like
Actually,
I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, there's been a plot, but the villains arrive, aka there is now like a real antagonist.
Yeah. It's not just a struggle between like Edith's inner self and like Edith's monster self. Struggle between life and death.
But we can start with chapter 17.
It begins with Beau and Charlie talking about Edith.
Yes, that's very interesting.
The first thing that I noted about that conversation is that Beau has this moment where he refers to it as like Charlie's like, well, is this your girlfriend? And he's like, yeah, it's my girlfriend. He like uses the word like, it felt weird to be like claiming her, and I felt like pride and like whatever. Yeah. And like I was like, that's interesting because I don't feel like Bella refers to Edward in that way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Bella's like, I'm claiming him as my boyfriend.
That conversation was really interesting for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
The first like sort of impression that I got from the chapter was that it's very different in terms of introducing your cop father to a girlfriend rather than introducing him to a boyfriend.
Absolutely.
With these gender swapped characters, that is. And like the fear that Beau is experiencing of introducing Charlie to Edith is not the same as the fear that Bella was experiencing about introducing Charlie to Edward.
Right.
Because with Edward, there's more of this threat throughout the book and throughout the series of like, Charlie's a cop and like he could shoot you and like all these things, and like a father being really overprotective of a daughter in like a dumb antiquated way. But
yeah, I would also say that after Beau, or during when Beau and Charlie are even meeting in this chapter, it gives off the impression just that Charlie likes Edith.
Yes.
Way more than he gave off the impression of liking Edward.
And another thing that like...
Which, bitch, same.
Yeah. But something that's interesting is because Charlie's still Charlie across these universes.
Yeah.
And it seems like some of that reaction is because Edith, not only because she's like a girl and all those things, but because she's an attractive girl.
Yeah.
And like he can like have these reactions to her as like a beautiful girl that aren't necessarily like out of place, but they are very different from what he would have experienced with Edward.
It is kind of a strange moment when like Beau is like, oh, Charlie's just like absolutely blindsided by how beautiful Edith is.
Yeah, like Beau and Charlie can like bond over the fact that Edith is so beautiful, and they're like, oh my god, how'd you ever land this person?
Yeah, which is like a weird moment to be really having
weird.
with a father.
Yes. I would say that that's an extremely substantial difference.
Yeah.
I was really curious about whether this conversation with Charlie about Edith was the same in Twilight.
Okay, also in this section is Bonnie and Jules dropping by.
Yes.
To warn Charlie.
Yes. Something about that is that we do get the name of Harry Clearwater, which is now Holly Clearwater.
Yeah, Holly Clearwater.
Another character that we haven't met yet. Jules.
Something that is different from Twilight is that after in Twilight, after Billy and Jacob leave, Jessica calls on the phone and is like talking about the dance and talking about Mike and talking about how Mike kissed her.
Ooh, meanwhile, Jeremy's nowhere in sight.
Meanwhile, Jeremy doesn't reach out to Bella in that way.
Yeah, to Beau.
Beau.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
It's okay.
Beau in that way. And then...
Yeah, the human friends are, like, kind of disappeared at this point.
Yeah.
we probably won't see them. I mean, we didn't see them in this section, so we probably won't see them until like the prom scene.
It's kind of a shame.
Yeah. They're just gone. I mean, it's like this. I mean, now from the meadow scene on, it's like not very much time passes.
Right.
Like throughout like the whole like chase stuff.
It's not like
they're not at school.
They're
anymore.
not like at school anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like, why would you take that moment out? Like, I guess boys don't call each other on the phone.
Yeah, I guess not. So there is the conversation between Bonnie and Bo.
Yeah.
Where she's like come to warn Charlie, but Bo kind of makes her back off and like is like, hey, I know more about this than you do. Like I'm aware that he doesn't say I'm aware she's a vampire, but like that'd be too much. But
I mean, they have that
implied.
understanding.
Yeah.
And Bonnie is like, I wonder if you really know. And Bo's like, I really, really do. Like, I really got it.
Thanks.
It must be shocking to hear, like, that he knows.
Yeah.
And is still cool with it.
Yeah.
But, like, also, you expect that for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as, like, a werewolf tribe. Like, you would expect that, like, obviously, like, Bonnie doesn't know that Jules is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
But would immediately expect that for her daughter to be treated equally.
Mm-hmm.
Just, like, intolerance between vampires and werewolves is, like, so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're both, like, shunned members of the society that have to live in packs.
Yeah.
And, like,
the
clans.
sort of, like, supernatural, like, immortal enemies sort of thing is...
Which is, it's just so tired.
It is really tired at this point.
It's like...
I don't know if it was tired at the time that Twilight was written.
No,
but...
I don't know if it was. But, no, I actually feel like I doubt it was.
Yeah.
But now it just kind of reads as like, oh, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you both are experiencing, like, trouble and stigma and, like...
marginalization.
Yeah, you're both experiencing these things and you can't tell.
You can't work with the other group.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, later in the saga, Stephenie Meyer does sort of bridge that gap a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, but it doesn't really get... At the end of Breaking Dawn, it's not like... I mean, they have a better relationship with the wolves, the Cullens do, but it's not like they're going to live in harmony for the rest of forever. Like, it's not really like that. I mean, it really just makes, like, a Romeo and Juliet situation for Bo/Bella, except, like...
It's like...
I guess Romeo and Juliet are, like, Jacob and
Edward, and they're going...
Yeah, like, Montagues and Capulets, like, they're not allowed to talk to each other.
And you're trying to date both of them.
Yeah.
That's the Romeo and Juliet we deserve.
So later in the section, Bo and Edith go play baseball with the Cullens. Yep. And I don't really have anything specifically for, like, their interesting, like, ride over.
No.
It's not that different.
Yeah.
Except that there is a moment. I know that, like, when she kisses him in the car, am I imagining that's more sexual than in Twilight?
Like, afterwards, before they're about to run?
Yes.
Like,
when she's like, when she's like, I want you to think about this instead of how you're going 100 miles an hour. Or maybe I just repressed it because it's so strange.
No, it's about the same.
Okay. In stories like this, and in, like, a lot of, like, I don't know, slasher films from the 80s where there's, like, a supernatural element or whatever, like, sex is very obviously, like, this punishable thing. It's, like, very closely tied into danger.
Yeah.
And literally death.
Yeah. It just seems... It doesn't seem less sexual. It seems more like Edward is angrier.
Yes.
About it.
Yeah.
It's the same level of sexual. He's like... Let's get you out of here before I do something really stupid. He growled, and it's like...
Yeah.
I know you're angry.
Yeah, and this, she mutters it. That same line.
Don't forget to close your eyes, he warned severely. It's like, do you even like
just
each other?
Calm down. Yeah, I think that the danger element is... I think that's something that Twilight gets critiqued for a lot. Not in the way that, like, it's, like, sort of a trope, but just, like, in the specific context of Twilight, I feel like usually, I don't know, it gets shit on for that. But I think that's where it... not that I want to, like, praise 50 Shades of Grey or anything, but I think that, like, the sex and danger thing is really the underlying theme of, like, maybe why people are drawn to it.
I have a new idea.
Yeah. What's your new idea?
I think you know it already.
I don't.
Oh. Well, we should read 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, God.
And compare it to Twilight. We should pull out...
God.
Because people don't do that. People are just, like...
Right.
People just take for granted that it's Twilight fan fiction.
I don't. Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. But, like, people that on the outside take for granted
Yes.
that it's
Twilight.
on the outside of the Twilight
Yeah,
like,
which is,
fandom.
like, so... Like, it is so unrealistic that, like, Edward Cullen's sexuality would mirror Christian Grey's sexuality.
Yeah.
You're right.
I read all of them, but...
You read... Wait.
Yeah.
You've read all the 50
I've read
Shades
all
of Grey
of them.
books?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I'm dedicated to this series. This series, Twilight.
I don't know if I would call it canon.
It's not canon, but it's like, it's the only thing you're gonna get. You're never gonna get Midnight Sun, so like you might as well read 50 Shades of Grey.
Or Life and Death.
Right. No, but I think we should read 50 Shades of Grey and pull out the Twilight similarities.
That's an idea. I'm not opposed to it.
Okay.
But I am opposed to it.
The thing that I pulled out first from, and really only from this baseball chapter, because I think that the game plays the same, and I don't know enough about baseball to say if it plays differently, is the conversation between Ernest and Beau about Ernest's tragic backstory, if you will.
Yep, I wrote that too.
There's obvious similarities.
Yeah, I think that's just one of the backstories that Stephenie Meyer decided was the same.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I definitely like this character. I like the character of Ernest. But when it was Esme, the idea of losing a child and then jumping from a cliff is like, that's pretty gendered when it is. It's pretty gendered, like, no matter what, but, like, especially when it's Esme. And especially because Esme's husband was abusive.
See, this is it. Okay. Esme in Twilight says, "My first and only baby died a few days after he was born, the poor tiny thing. It broke my heart. That's why I jumped off the cliff, you know." She added matter-of-factly, "Edward just said you fell. Always the gentleman. Edward was the first of my new sons. I've always thought about him that way, even though he's older than I am, in one way at least. Blah, blah." In Life and Death, Ernest loses a 3-year-old.
She's barely 2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, a 2-year-old.
But still, it's quite different.
It's a large difference. Like, you have time to be a parent.
Yeah. Again, like, I mean, it's not really in Twilight or Life and Death, but the assumption that, or not the assumption, but the knowledge that Esme did have an abusive partner is really interesting. I don't think that there... I feel like Stephenie Meyer would omit that.
Yeah, it would just be like the child dying.
The child just died. It just reminds me of how she didn't feel like sexual violence was something that could be a threat to Beau.
Exactly. I don't think domestic violence would be a threat to Ernest. It's just like the trauma of having a child die, which is different. And also, like, I think that it's definitely an intentional choice to have it be a different age child. Yeah. I don't know what she's going for.
I need answers.
In that. I don't know what she's going for in that, because why not have Ernest lose a 2-day-old baby?
I don't know.
As opposed to, like, a 2-year-old child. Like, are you saying that,
is there a child's name? And did she swap the baby's name? The baby's gender?
He died after a few days after he was born. It's a girl in Life and Death, so this is not one of the non-gender swap characters. I just think it's really weird. Mm-hmm. Because, like, what I'm thinking she might be thinking is, like, when you're a mother, you're immediately a mother as soon as the baby is born, but, like, you don't have time to become a father. Yeah. Like, you become a father over the first, like, couple of experiences, couple of years, and so they're, like, developing Ernest as, like, a paternal figure in the same way that Esme is a maternal figure, and do not tell me that being maternal and being paternal are the same thing. Yeah. Because they're not. But also, is that what she's going for? Because there's absolutely no reason for it to be a 2-year-old versus, like, a couple of days old. It also implies that, like, Ernest, if Ernest is in, like, an abusive situation, stayed for 2 years after this baby's born. Yeah. I don't understand. What's up with that?
I don't understand. I have so many questions. Yeah. Also in this section, we meet Eleanor and Royal for the first time.
You're right.
Or, like, Beau meets them for the first time. Again, Royal just feels so much more threatening. Like, there's that threat of physical violence that we didn't have ever with Rosalie. Yeah. Even though, like, obviously Rosalie was very...
equally capable. Yeah. But just not as, like, physically, like, appearance-wise as menacing. Yeah. Though I would... You know what? Rosalie beat me up. Yeah.
That's all I really have for, like, the actual baseball game. Towards the end of the chapter, Archie foresees... the nomads that are coming, and then we meet them in the next chapter.
Chapter 18.
Yeah, chapter 18, The Hunt. So last episode, I predicted that maybe Stephenie Meyer would not gender swap Victoria. Yeah. Or some of those other characters.
Bitch, we were wrong.
I was so wrong, but I still like my idea way more.
Yeah, I think your idea was much better, and when I got there, like, that's where I wrote Whomst. Yeah. The fuck isn't gender swapped, because we must have missed it.
It's like something so insignificant that we missed it.
Unless it's actually Carlisle's dad. Kareen's dad.
Kareen's dad.
Which is dumb.
That is dumb.
I guess I'll Google it. I don't know. Whatever. We'll find out, I guess, later. I mean, maybe we're missing something. It was too obvious or it was too subtle. I don't know. Yeah. Really, the only thing I actually wrote for this chapter is that it's really strange that during this entire interaction with Joss and Lauren and
Victor.
Could be in Twilight, and I might have forgotten because it's been a while, but Bo is, like, concerned for Edith's safety and is like, I want to protect her.
He's like,
and
I'm going to jump in front of her. It's like, you're dumb.
I'm like, you're so stupid. There's, like, 25 other people there that are more qualified for that job than you.
Which is so interesting, because one of the reasons Stephenie Meyer claimed that, like, this book isn't different because of the genders of Bo and Bella. She said that, like, Bella was always being rescued because she was human, not because she's a girl. But Bella also, like, never, like, put herself forward like that and was like, oh, I can, like, I want to help save
The only time she did that was in Eclipse, and it...
When she
does the third wife thing and, like, slices her hand and distracts Victoria and Riley from killing Edward. But it's, like, it's unrealistic for her to have those thoughts now, because she has those thoughts because she listens to the third wife's tale.
Also, it's like, I don't know why Stephenie Meyer, like, kind of bought into the discourse that Bella is always being saved, because, like, very clearly she saves Edward at the end of New Moon.
Yeah.
Like, very clearly.
Absolutely. She's not always being saved. I understand that it's probably really frustrating to hear all this criticism about your book that I'm, like, I'm personally funding.
Yeah.
Like, I'm personally,
I'm
like,
sponsored.
Responsible for, like, a lot of the critique of Twilight. However, not, like, the basic, boring, Bella is a whore for leading these people on, which, like, at
whatever
this
that Tumblr was.
user. It's not, that critique must be really frustrating to read, but, like, you would think that she would be able to, in the same way that we are, look past that and be like, oh, that's just a bunch of stupid people reading my book.
The answer is not to write life and death.
Yeah, no. Yeah. The answer is to be, like, defensive of your characters and be like, no, actually, like, this is why Bella is not, like, awful. Like, Bella saves Edward here. Bella does the right thing here. Like, Bella's a human.
We've gotten it a couple times. We've gotten Bo, being like, I want to protect Edith, which is just kind of idiotic and kind of defeats the purpose of Stephenie Meyer saying that Bella was only rescued because she's a human. Because
it's just, like, I don't think that having the urge to protect someone is a gendered thing. I think it's more of a personality thing.
Yeah.
Like, some people are more apt to feel protective of others, and, like, if that's not in Bella's personality, I don't know why it would be in Bo's.
And it's also, like, it is a very gendered thing for men to be like, I need to protect my female partner, but, like, then that's just Stephenie Meyer, like, buying into that narrative, which is just stupid.
I think it's more of, like, a societal pressure on that. Yeah. On that level, whereas, like I think it is truly in some people's personality to be protective. Yeah. I think I'm a pretty protective person.
You would protect Edith.
Yeah. I would protect Edith myself. But I don't think Bo would. Like, I don't think Bo would. I don't think Bella would, which is why I'm like, why would Bo?
Yeah. I mean, Bella doesn't.
So
he shouldn't. The rest of this chapter is plot-wise the same. They have to leave quickly, and once they realize that Joss is interested in is hunting Bo, and they make a plan in the car, but which immediately involves Bo going to Charlie's house and packing up and making him think that he's leaving town, which he is. Do you have anything else for this chapter?
I think maybe Lauren is an interesting character. She's definitely, it's the same. I looked at Twilight yesterday when I was reading it. It's the same language, description, everything about Lauren, but as for Laurent, but I think maybe, like, you know what? That's lazy, because she does all this, like, bending over backwards to make sure that no J names are, like, Jacob or Jessica or whatever. But Lauren is a character in Twilight.
Yeah, you're right.
Are we meant to believe?
Yeah.
No. No, but I think that, like, the role of the diplomat and the false leader is very interesting.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Lauren/Laurent is canonically a black person. Like,
I don't think that
he is in the film.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I think that, like, the fandom has accepted that this is a black person.
I don't think that there was any real, like, kickback when Laurent was black in the film. I don't think anyone was like, wait a second. Yeah. Well, I think I'm misremembering, because I think everyone was like, vampires are supposed to be pale.
That's right.
I remember people being like, how could there be a black vampire? And
it's like, bitch.
It's like,
how do you think vampires
do you think that black people, when bit, are...
they lose all their melanin, like, their skin color is, like, sucked out of their body.
Yeah, it's like...
because blood provides skin color.
And it's lazy because, like, we know later that they're... Well, I don't know if it's lazy. It might have been Stephenie writing Breaking Dawn after all of this and being like, here's some indigenous vampires from Brazil.
Yeah.
Like, afterwards. After she realized that, like, people were receptive to Laurent being black. I don't know.
Who knows? I mean, she probably realized that people were more receptive to, like, sexuality.
Yeah.
When she wrote this.
I want her body to be donated to science so I can personally pick it apart and be like, why did you make these choices?
Hot take. So, yeah, chapter 19, Goodbyes. Always a sad chapter. Beau is escaping from Forks with all of the Cullens, and he's feeling, I guess, inadequate. Because he's like, I can't believe these people are all fighting for me. And it's like, yes, and also they're fighting for their family. The only thing that I really wondered was if the excuse that he gives Charlie for leaving is the same that Bella gives, because I don't think that it is. I think there's a little bit of an added section here.
Let me look. You're right. It is not the section on Beau freaking out and being like, Edith wants to get married and have kids and stay in Forks forever.
Yeah, that's very different.
Explicitly said in this. It's more of like a general, like,
I'm unhappy.
I'm unhappy. I can't put any more roots here. I don't want to end up trapped in this stupid, boring town like Mom.
I guess it's the same sentiment.
It's the same sentiment, but it's very, like, interesting that Beau is like, Edith wants to get married and have kids. Like, this was your first date.
Yeah, calm down.
Like, according to Charlie, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if I were Charlie, I would be like, wow, that's a little soon. You're 17. But like,
does Charlie ask Bella if she's doing drugs? Because he asked Beau if he's doing drugs.
No, he does not ask.
It's like right before that section. That's so bizarre.
That's so weird. Can you believe that only men can do drugs?
Only men do drugs, and only women cry.
Yeah. That's what I've really learned from Life and Death.
Yeah. Hashtag not all men are drug addicts. I think that in general, this section is interesting coming from Beau, because he has never talked to Charlie like this, but I feel like Bella talks to Charlie like this sometimes.
Yeah.
In terms of just sort of like anger and like chip on the shoulder moodiness. So when Beau's like telling Charlie to stay out of it and stuff, it's like kind of out of left field.
Yeah.
But honestly, the act is so interesting. Like, it reminds me of that strange added section earlier in the book where he decides to tell Taylor in a really dramatic way that he's not going to prom with her. That, like, is not a Twilight at all.
Right.
It's that same sort of, like, flair for the dramatic that, like, feels really out of place.
Yeah, like, Bella would never want that attention, and it would feel very, like, if my child came home and acted like this, I would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I'd be like, yeah, go back to Phoenix. Bye.
Yeah, bye. I think it gets the job done, but it does read so differently.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's also, maybe it's like a play on, like, the men are more afraid of commitment kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah,
but
it's some strange
wouldn't anyone be afraid of someone being like, I want to get married and stay in Forks forever and have children with you at age 17 on our first date?
Yeah.
That's all I really have for the
Charlie. I was just noting that, like, I mean, I'm super intrigued by these vampires who are now women who have lived for 300 or more years.
Yeah.
Like Lauren.
Yeah. Especially like, if we take black. Lauren as black.
Yeah. And French.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lauren decides that she's going to go up to see the Denali clan, which we will never hear about. Rip.
Yeah.
And then, the Cullens leave. They split up into groups, and Beau goes with Archie and Jessamine down to Phoenix. And then the rest of them split off to try to lead the tracker away.
There's a few moments where Eleanor and Ernest pick up Beau and carry him places. That is so great.
Yeah.
As well as Royal refusing to wear
his clothes.
Beau's clothes.
Yeah, Rosalie does that as well.
Yeah.
I think it's just, I always thought it was weird that Edward and Edith even asked them to do that, because, like, obviously they're not going to.
Yeah, it's like, it's also, like, it's maybe more believable that Rosalie and Bella would be able to trade clothes, but with the physical description of Royal as being so, like, large and menacing, and Beau just being, like, some presumably skinny, lanky, tall boy, like, I don't believe that they would even fit into, like, most of the same clothes. Like, maybe you could throw a jacket or something on, or, like, sweatpants, but, like, I don't buy it. And it makes more sense for Ernest to do it anyway. Whatever.
Yeah.
But there are some really great carrying Beau moments, which honestly are, like, my favorite part of this whole book so far, is when people pick Beau up and are like, you can't walk fast enough, you dumb human.
I'm really excited for these next sections. Hang out more with Archie and Jessamine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And their backstory. I think, let's see. We're almost done here with the book. I think we got about 2 episodes more of content. There's about 6 more chapters. I'm really interested to see how this is going to end because I think that will have a lot to do with why she's not writing more of these. But at this point, it's like, what is she going to do? Because I thought that maybe it would have to do with her decision to not swap some of the characters, but I guess like that was just more of like her personal preference rather than like a plot device. So
there's like 5 more chapters of Twilight, 4 in an epilogue.
And this book is shorter.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
Which I wonder.
I don't know why. Like, how is it that much shorter?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, that's a small copy, but
maybe...
like, the copy of Twilight that's the same size here as Life and Death is like almost 500 pages.
Well, there's a preface and whatever of New Moon at the back of this, but that doesn't add to the page count.
But the copies of Twilight that you have are like 400 something.
498 pages.
Yeah, and this is 100 pages shorter.
I wonder, because look at... But even with the epilogue gone, like if they didn't do prom, it would still...
I think they do prom. There's an epilogue here. Once again, I have a lot of questions.
Whatever. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of questions as well.
Yeah.
I can't wait to like dive deep into the discourse on this after reading the whole thing and being able to read what other people have written.
Yeah, I've been staying away from the discourse. Well, stay tuned for next time for, I don't know, some...
more stuff.
Yeah, Archie.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for listening to Gender Forking. To stay updated about the podcast or to contact us, follow us on Twitter at genderforking or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/genderforking. For more Twilight content from us, you can follow our blog at bowlingshirtbellas.tumblr.com. If you haven't read Life and Death and you aren't reading along at home, visit bowlingshirtbellas.tumblr.com/genderforking for plot summaries and more information about the text. For other inquiries, you can email us at bowlingshirtbellas@gmail.com. The music you are hearing is Thursday in Snow Reprise by Blank Kit.